For years, women in Iran have lived with their rights severely restricted, with their voices silenced and freedom snatched away. But in the last 40 days, the Islamic Republic is witnessing protests like never before. 22-year-old Mahsa Amini's death has ignited anger among people across Iran. The protests have now turned into a people's movement. Protesters have been chanting, "Death to the dictator." It's the same cry that had toppled the Shah in 1979. Guns, tanks, fireworks, the Mullahs must get lost. This is another slogan that the women are chanting while taking off and burning their hijabs in several cities. The women of Iran have had enough of men in turbans controlling their lives, how they must dress, travel, even work. So now they've taken their protest directly to these turbaned mullahs. Let's now bring you at least 5 videos from Iran that have been making rounds on the social media, showing protesters taking Shiite clerics who they blame for having led the country to this misery due to religious dictatorship. The first video is from one of the Mahsa Amini protests. An Islamic cleric walks while protesters chant slogans. They then knock off his pristine white turban. And as the cleric walks towards his turban to pick it up, the protesters kick it away. Looking at the number of protesters and rage, the mullah chooses to walk away. The second video now. A cleric is seen standing near his car when a young boy wearing a hoodie walks towards him and knocks off his turban, chanting, "Down with Khomeini." Here's the third one. A young man runs towards a mullah and does the same, knocks off his turban. The next one is from the city called the epicenter of the mullahs. An old cleric walks across the street. His turban is taken off. And the fifth video, this is from an Iranian university. Women students are seen chanting slogans as they see a mullah arriving. And before his turban could be taken off, some from the college authorities walk up to the mullah asking him to go back because of the protests. And fearing the protest, the mullah turns around and walks off. Knocking off the turbans of the mullahs has become a campaign in Iran. There are several such incidents taking place across cities in the Islamic Republic. Protesters in Iran are mostly young and many are radical. There are students from schools and universities. They make up around a third of Iran's population. So far, they've chanted slogans, they've chased Khomeini's officials out of their schools, braved several crackdowns, thrown Molotov cocktails at security forces. The protests against the supreme leader are only escalating. They're burning billboards with images of the supreme leader. Students have been tearing down Khomeini's posters and even stomping on them. Some of the biggest protests have been in the conservative shrine cities and in female universities like Al-Zahra in Tehran. There are very few who've answered Ayatollah's calls to mobilize. The security forces, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, have stood loyal so far. The largest demonstrations have numbered tens of thousands, not the millions that toppled the Shah, I beg your pardon. So for the protesters, the road is long and uncertain, but what is certain is that Ayatollah Khomeini and the Islamic Republic both are in deep trouble, and there are absolutely no signs of these protests ending anytime soon.